Winifred McNeil is a working artist located in Jersey City, New Jersey. She holds 2 degrees in sculpture, a BFA from Boston University and an MFA from Queens College, CUNY. In addition to sculpture, Winifred also specializes in drawing with graphite pencil, relief work, acrylic paintings, and watercolor paintings. As an educator, she taught internally at St. Stephen's School in Rome and later at New Jersey University, where she is professor emeritus. Following her return to the U.S., Winifred became a curator of education at Jersey City Museum. And today, Winifred creates her art in a private studio in Hoboken, New Jersey, where, after 45 years, she still draws inspiration from the world around her.
Welcome to Garden State of the Arts. I'm Savannah Rinaldi, and here today I have Winifred McNeil. Thank you so much for joining us today.
I'm very happy to be here. Thank you for asking me.
Can you please describe your art for us?
Sure. Well, I'm an artist who works across several different disciplines. Sculpture in plaster and clay, painting in oil, acrylic, and watercolor, and assemblage. Assemblage is that of taking an ordinary object and making something else of it. And across all of these different ways of working, the thing that remains constant for me is the act of drawing and the act of seeing.
Now, tell me, did you always think that you were going to be in the world of the arts?
Well, from early on, I didn't know what that meant to be within the world of the arts, but I've always been very interested in the world and in seeing the world and in seeing what's the beauty of the world, I think.
So obviously the environment influences your art?
Very much so, yeah.
So kind of explain that to me. Would you see something and imagine drawing on it to make the painting?
Yeah, absolutely. The materials very much inspire me. And one of the things that's also a constant through all my work is this idea of the fragment and the idea that a piece of something that might have been lost is recovered and found and stands for a bigger idea. This piece here is an example of that. It seems to be a fragment of perhaps a larger wall. It's a drawing on acrylic on plaster, and plaster is a medium that I've worked in for many, many years, and it's one of my favorites. But it's not the only one by any way.
Is there any meaning that the viewer would need to see, especially like with the bird?
Well, the other thing I'm also thinking of is this moment that is. It's another way of thinking about the fragment. It's a moment that's about to change. The bird in the sky is only there for a fraction of an instant. It's a glimpse. So a glimpse is also a way of thinking about the fragment.
Tell us about any impactful moments in your art journey that have stayed with your connections.
Sure. A big moment in my journey was living in Rome, Italy for 8 years. And during that time, I really was able to understand not only Italian culture, but also the effect of that on my natural inclination to make art. One of the things that I learned there is looking at that art is that all throughout history in Rome, they would take, for instance, a piece of stone from the Roman era, and they would put it in a wall that was a medieval building, and this would happen all the time. And so for me, that really gave me this idea that a fragment stands for more than just itself. It's a piece of history that it carries with it. And so living in Italy was a very big, important influence in my life.
What did you enjoy the most of being an art professor?
My students. My students have just watching them grow and grow into their lives as artists, and in my case, art teachers. I trained a lot of people to become art educators, and seeing them grow and go out into the world and become professionals, it's just wonderful. They're just doing wonderful things in the world, and that just gives me a lot of joy.
What have you struggled most with your art?
What I've struggled most with in the arts is something that's similar to most artists. I struggle to to find a balance between being in my studio and being at work, in this case, as a professor at New Jersey City University. One always has to find that balance, but one also always has to keep working.
If you can make one change in the art culture, what would it be and why?
The biggest change I think I would love to see is for the United States of America to support artists in particular, not just the famous artists or the big productions, but the artists who are growing up, who are learning to be artists, and who are balancing that work and work to make money and work to make your work balance. And if there were more ways for the government or the state or to give artists the opportunities, I think this would make a big difference in our culture. For instance, in the Netherlands, they have a long history of really supporting their artists and giving them grants, giving them opportunities, which in America, you really don't have that. Yes, there are grants, yes, there are opportunities, but compared to other countries, you really have to become a professional in fundraising to do that. It's value the arts as an important part of our culture, as important as math, as important as reading and writing, because the arts are a nonlinear way of thinking and working. And this is something that we really need to cultivate and support in our civilization, I feel.
I definitely agree.
Mm-hmm.
The arts are so important, especially nowadays. It represents culture.
Yes.
Moving forward, what are your artistic goals?
Well, at this point in my life, my biggest artistic goal is to stay healthy and to keep working. As I said, I always work in sets of series, so my latest series is quite large, and I'm looking forward to continuing that and see what ideas that come from that series will lead me to next.
My producers have a video, and we would like you to describe your process.
Sure. This is a video that is showing the process of the larger works from this Horizon series. They are all works that appear to be very heavy, but they're actually quite light because they're made on this foam core. Here I'm preparing the foam core by roughing it up, and now here I am applying gauze through which I will pour plaster and spread the plaster on top of this larger form. The plaster is mixed first in a liquid form, of course, and then I spread it across this form. Now, because I already had come up with the idea that this series would be about the horizon, the way that I apply the plaster is in these horizontal strokes, again and again. And when I'm working on the plaster, when I start again on the next day working on it, I have to wet the plaster, which you see there. And this is here applying another layer of plaster on top of the first, ensuring that it adheres well to the first layer and creates this low relief, which I'm also sanding it, and sanding some places more than others. Again, getting this low relief, which is the landscape of this particular group that I'm making.
On average, how many layers of plaster do you think you need for pieces like this?
For these, at minimum 3 and more, but not too much, because I don't want to add weight to these pieces more than I absolutely need to. So there are places in here where, right here, for instance, I'm touching up places that weren't quite right. Here you see me applying the acrylic, which I've diluted so that it almost has a watercolor effect. And I did that so that the acrylic which is really a plastic acrylic, so that the plastic aspect of the acrylic didn't take precedent over the surface of the plaster itself. And I like working with the plaster on these because if you look at them, they seem to be quite heavy. But as you can see by my picking it up and moving it, it's not heavy at all. Applying the acrylic so lightly, it allows me to draw, as you just saw.
It was really beautiful. So that connects with the big pieces that you have?
Correct. These I made as small little trial pieces or bozzetti that give me, I selected the colors on these and I selected the general, the proportions of where the horizon would be and what I wanted to. I've done about 15 of these. They're all a little bit different. I just brought one today, but here we have plaster, acrylic, pencil.
The arts are so important, especially nowadays. It represents culture.
Yes.
But thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. And thank you for watching. Thank you for viewing.